Okay, U.S. history classes. Let's talk about your final that begins next week on the 4th, or hopefully today if you're watching this video. So if you go ahead and click on this red folder, Spring Semester Final, um, you are going to see the entire final. Now, as we record this, these are unpublished because I still need to add this video to the folder. Uh, but when you guys click on it, you will see all these. So let's talk about how you're taking the final. The first thing you'll do is you'll click on the video that you're watching now. You'll watch the video, take some notes on these instructions, and then complete a quiz on the instructions. And yes, you are doing a quiz on the instructions. So I want to make sure you understand how to do the final. Now, this semester's final is very similar to the one we took in December in shape and form. In December, we did one about Confederate monuments and their place in society. Um, this is very similar to that, wherein I am looking at your ability to construct an argument using evidence as opposed to what your argument actually is. So I don't care what side of the argument you come down on here. Um, I will say that you do need to come down on one side or the other. Please don't try to walk the middle line because you guys aren't that good at it yet. Um, so just pick one side and argue from that side. Whether it's your personal belief or not doesn't matter because I'm looking at how do you construct an argument. So to start off with, there is going to be a discussion. This is a lot like the Vietnam War discussion, answering the question, do fences make good neighbors? So you'll just click on this. This needs to be a substantial type of discussion, so you'll just type it here. But more importantly, you need to respond to two other people's um, post, and it can't just be I agree or you make a good point or that makes sense. You know, it has to be something of I agree because of this, but have you thought about this? The better your responses are, the better your score is going to be. And as you can see, obviously we are talking about U.S. Mexican migration. So and issues with the border wall. So we go back here. The first formative task, this is due Wednesday. Now I would like to stress, should you wait until the 6th, the 8th, the 11th, the 13th to do these pieces? No, you should not. Get these knocked out, get them done, and then you're done. Once you're done with this final, you're done. You don't have anything left to do in my class unless you're missing an assignment. So once all your assignments are done and once this final is done, you're done. You don't have to keep doing work till the 22nd. So first of all, the formative task. This is the first one, formative task 1. I will actually change that here, but it's what drives immigration from Mexico to the United States. So you'll click on this, okay? I've given kind of an explanation here. We talked about push and pull factors earlier, like what pushes people out of their country, what pulls them toward a new area. This is a video here about how the wall developed over time in U.S. Mexican history, so from 1848 till today. Now for this, what you will need to do is, here is some information about push and pull factors. Here are sources on Mexican migration stories. So if we click on this link, it will open up a series of stories. There are 13 stories. Now the ones on the left and the ones on the right are the exact same. This one's in Spanish. This one is in English. And so it talks about why did people come to the United States from Mexico. So what you're supposed to do is understanding this video, understanding push and pull, the concept of push and pull, and personal stories. You are to create 10 tweets, 160 to 240 characters, on this form below, dealing with the question, why have people migrated from Mexico to the United States and sometimes returned home or returned back to Mexico? So what you'll do is you'll click on this link here. This opens up, that didn't open right. anyways, this should open up for you guys into a PowerPoint slide. Um, Worst case, you can download this, put it into your drive, and then open it with Google Slides. And you will type in your tweets here. If you want to change these pictures for your account, that's great. If you want to change how many people you're following or your followers, etc., etc. But these are the tweets. Make sure you're creating hashtags and you're using those stories from the information to get it done. So. And that's it. And then once you're done with that, you will go ahead and just submit it right here. And this is the first part. And I put it down as a due date. Let's see if this opens it up. Nope, it did not. But you guys will be able to figure this out. You're pretty smart. So we'll come back to here. Excuse me. To Formative Task 2. I have set a due date of Friday the 8th, but you should be able to get it done earlier. Now this is a variety of information from the Pew Research, so this is just flat out raw data that you guys need to dissect. And the question you're trying to answer is, how has Mexican immigration changed over the past 50 years? So if you click on the first one, it opens a website into Pew Research. It goes ahead and gives you information on immigration. You can expand these selections. You can see where a majority of U.S. immigration is coming from in 2015. So for example, 26% came from Mexico, 26.9%, a slightly larger number came from South and East Asia. South Asia refers to India and Pakistan, Europe, Canada, the Caribbean, etc. But roughly 43 million people in the United States in 2015 were foreign born or born in a foreign country. Our total population in 2015 was 321 million, and roughly 13% of that was foreign born. 48% of those foreign born persons are citizens, and 52% are not citizens. And then population by nativity and race. And there's just a whole bunch of data. I mean, you can even break it down by country of birth. So you can see that Mexico has 11 million people, or people of Mexican descent, people born in Mexico, are 26% of all foreign-born people. But if you look at like Ireland, people who were born in Ireland, not of Irish descent, but people who were born in Ireland are 0.3. Canadians are 1.9%. Just a whole bunch of different charts you guys can look at. And then there's unauthorized immigration. This is this is kind of the more academic phrase for what some people call illegal immigrants, what other people call undocumented workers. In academia, we call them unauthorized immigrants. But it's just a whole bunch of different ones. Now, what I want you guys to do here is open up this document, and from fact set 1, or the first one, I want you to write down 3 facts. What are 3 things from number 2, 3, 4, and how do these facts help answer the question, has Mexican migration changed, right? I'm sorry, this is from source A, so find a set 1, set 2, set 3, 3 different sets of facts, so don't just take off the first thing you see. Interesting. And go ahead and here, same thing for source B, source C, source D. Ultimately, you're trying to answer this question, how has Mexican migration changed, with all of these sources that you find back here. So you have source A, source B, source C, source D. So if we go back to source A again, remember I want 4 fact sets. So this would be the first one. Okay, so out of the 43 million people who were born outside of the United States, 26% of them came from Mexico. And 48% of those are now citizens, 51% speak English very well. So just looking at this, bam, you can get 3 facts. The second set would be maybe this age, gender, education, work earnings. There's a whole bunch of different things you can pull from. If you say, for example, there's not quite enough here, you want to see more, you can expand that selection. You can maybe compare Mexicans to South Asians or Europeans or Caribbean, people from the Caribbean, yada, 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 and their education. So you can see that of Mexicans tend not to have advanced degrees, that is, masters and doctorates, compared to South Asians, but they tend to have it in larger numbers than Central Americans and others. But and then you can compare that. So Mexicans have a very high rate of high school graduation, yada, yada, yada. So that's formative task 2. Once you're done, you submit it here. Formative task 3. Now remember, all of these tasks are just like the sources we looked at in December for the Confederate Monuments one. You will use these sources to help build your argument. Now, do barriers deter unauthorized migration? Or, to make it less fancy, does a border wall help stop Mexicans from coming to the U.S.? That's what I'm asking here. Do walls stop immigration? Okay? So we have 3 sources once again. Okay? So you would just click on that source. These pull up different sources. This one is, for example, from 2016. Borders and walls, do barriers deter unauthorized immigration? Undeterred migrants. This is a bunch of videos about that, or this is a video about immigration and how the wall is affecting it. And then this last one, a quick history of Trump's evolving justifications for a wall. Whether you agree with it or not, this is a possible source. All right, so once you are done with that, you go ahead and click on this document. You'll do the whole file, make a copy, okay, and using materials from sources A through C and a formative task 1 and 2, so the previous 2 assignments, you will make a claim, so your thesis and your main points, to answer the question below. This answer can be positive or negative. Yes, barriers do deter unauthorized immigration, or no, they do not stop unauthorized immigration, okay? So basically, I'm having you write your introductory paragraph. So you need your thesis statement, so basically answering this question, and 3 big ideas that support it. So if you want to say, yes, they do stop, tell me 3 reasons why, in big ideas. I don't need a whole bunch of details and a whole bunch of numbers. Just show me why. Or if you say, no, they do not, if fences do not stop immigration, give me 3 reasons why your thesis is correct. Okay? This is basically an introductory paragraph I'm asking you to write. You can copy this introductory paragraph directly into the next portion of the final if you'd like. This is kind of helping you with the pre-write. All right, so 2 more parts. I know this seems kind of long. The semester final, I'm going to turn this whole thing on. Please don't do this part before you do the other 3 because I'm going to be judging you. There is a rubric here. If you click this, it will tell you how I'm grading it. It's just a 1 through 4 because that's what they asked me to do. If you want a 4, if you want your full points, you're going to integrate evidence from multiple relevant sources and interpretation into a reasoned argument. A reflection on the deficiencies of the argument is made. So basically, can you make a claim? Can you give me information from multiple sources? That's probably 4 or 5. Defending your thesis. And can you give me a counter argument? Can you say, yeah, you know, despite the fact that I said that walls do deter immigration, these are some counter arguments that show maybe I'm not quite right and we need to look into that further. Okay, you guys have all done counter arguments in your English class. This is just how it is. A 3, you integrate evidence from multiple, at least 3 sources. You examine interpretations of data and you create a reasoned argument. So if you don't have any kind of counter argument, this is where you are. Please be aware a 3 is where we want you. A 3 is excellent. This is extraordinary. You're all capable of this, but most of you will be writing here, and that's perfect actually. This one, you're only getting, if you're getting a 2, you only have evidence from 2 sources into your reasoned argument. A 1 is you're only using 1 source, so you only choose 1 of the 15 things I gave you from task 1, 2, and 3. and you need significant help from either myself or teachers. So you're jumping on Zoom or you're talking to your friends, and you can kind of see that. The only way you will get a 0 on this is you're not using any kind of evidence. You're like, yeah, walls work, walls are awesome, and then you're done. Um, or you create a very reasoned argument, walls work because yada yada yada, and it makes a lot of sense, but there's no evidence from anything else, right? Remember, you have to provide evidence from other sources to back up your claim. Um, you can't just say what you think. You have to provide evidence to support that claim, and so that's how it kind of comes out. Please be aware that how do I get rid of this? Oh, there we go. My view here looks a little differently than yours. Yours will probably look something like this, and then you'll start a new attempt. Defenses make good neighbors. I will go ahead and fix this question. Fix this. Yada yada yada. I will fix the spelling mistake there. Anyways, so you have all that. Now the final portion, and yes, you have to do this. Okay. This would, if we were not in a shutdowns type situation or an e-learning situation, this would be a classroom discussion we would have the last couple days. But the idea is, what is the value of border barriers? How do border fences, how do border lockdowns, yada yada yada, how do they add value to a country, to its culture, to its society, to whatever? Use two paragraphs to post supporting your thesis. Once again, like the Vietnam post, this one is a little more in depth than the first one you did. This should all be done by the 13th, 14th, 15th, and then you're done. Make sure you are responding to other people. That's how you get your points. So that is your final. You guys have 2 weeks to do it. Some of you will be done in 2-3 days. Some of you will take the full 10. Please don't delay. Let's get this done, get it knocked out, then you can truly enjoy your summer break. I'm really looking forward to see what you guys put out here. You guys have always impressed me this year. You go in a lot more depth than I think a lot of people give you credit for, and I'm always proud to be your teacher. So if you have questions, drop me an email, drop it on Zoom, yada yada yada. Thanks, guys.